Good morning. I am doing another Cook With Me video. This is a special edition one. This is sort of a killing several birds with one stone, I guess, if you want to call it that. This is a family favorite that we have enjoyed throughout the years. It's a chicken soup / stew with kale and leeks and assorted other veggies. And I'm also doing a collaboration with, hoping to be included actually, with Centsible Living with Money Mom. Had done a YouTube asking for a collab for Crocktober recipes. So I thought this one was a good one. It's a little bit different. So let me tell you what's involved. It may look like a lot. This is about 2.5 pounds of chicken breasts. You could use chicken thighs that could be boneless, skinless. You could use thighs or breasts that have the bone and the skin on them. You could use a whole chicken if you want. And I've done it many different ways. I find that sometimes if I use too much of the whole chicken, it gets a little greasy. So I didn't want that in the soup necessarily, but that could be very tasty as well. If you're going to use something with skin and bones on it, then I probably would dial back on the chicken stock. Okay, so you'll need about 2.5 pounds of chicken breast. So I stuck those into my crock pot with, with some extra virgin olive oil that I had sprayed the crock pot with. And then you will need some frozen kale. You could use fresh kale. This is 8 ounces. You will also need some sliced leeks. You could use fresh leeks if you have them. These were frozen, and this is 16 ounces. I'm going to use the whole thing. And you'll notice I have a lot of ice buildup. I've had this in my freezer for a while, and I really wanted to use it up, so that's why. If you don't have leeks, you can do this with some onions, and I might chop up some onions if your family likes it. So, but leeks really give it a nice flavor. Okay, you'll need some corn, and I am using a can of no salt added corn, but certainly you could use fresh or frozen. And I have about 1.5 to 2 cups of sliced carrots. You will also need 1.5 to 2 containers of chicken stock. Again, we like to use the unsalted because I like to be able to control how much sodium I put in things. But certainly if you have just regular salted items, then maybe I would dial back on some of the salt that you add in afterwards. You're going to need rosemary, black pepper, salt, some bay leaves. This is optional. These are chipotle flakes, if you like that. If you don't like chipotle flakes, maybe just regular crushed red pepper flakes are good. These both are optional. You will need garlic powder or fresh garlic and thyme. And then some other optional things to add in at the end, after everything's cooked and you're ready to eat. You can always top it with some sort of cheese. This is what I have available. Fresh Parmesan, a little bit of that on there. Other type of cheese if you want to top it, or just leave the cheese off. And also you'll need something that's like a little vinegary based. So I usually like to put in 1 to 2 tablespoons of vinegar right before I serve it. So I'm going to use the red wine vinegar, but you can also use rice vinegar. I would stay away from, don't use the apple cider or the balsamic in this case. If you don't have either one of those, you could use lemon, like a juice of 1 lemon, or you could just completely leave it out. So these are optional, but they do give it a nice kick. I'm actually going to serve it with some extra of this because some in our family really like spicy and some don't. So let me show you what I'm going to be doing. Hold on. Okay, this is really simple to do. Basically, you pour everything over top of your I'm going to pour in the chicken broth. I'm using 1.5 containers of this. So this was my half container. That was my half container, and I will get the second one. Whoops, there goes that. I'm telling you, filming one-handed, trying to make a recipe one-handed is not an easy task. You could also add in water or a combo of water and broth. You can, if you're using the chicken whole, again, you can just use the water and have the chicken make its own broth. You can also use some white wine in this. So I'm going to then put in my carrots. See if I can get that in. And I'm going to put in all my spices. So I used a teaspoon of pepper, a teaspoon of salt, and a teaspoon of thyme. I'm putting in 2 bay leaves. I used 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, a teaspoon of crushed rosemary, and a pinch of the chipotle flakes. Again, this is stuff that's really to taste. So you can vary it a lot. It doesn't have to be, you know, if you don't like something, then don't put it in. If you like more of something, put it in. I'm going to put this, this is undrained, but you can certainly drain it if you want. That's my corn. Oops, I didn't get all of it. Got all of it in. And then I have my leeks. I'm going to be putting that in. I can do this one-handed. Yes. And you can see all the ice crystals because I didn't thaw them out completely, and they've been in there a little long. Oops. And then I have my frozen kale. So you can, if you want, I suppose you could make this with frozen spinach, but I really like the kale. I'm back, and I just stirred it up. And you want to make sure that the chicken is below the liquid so that it helps cook. Now, this makes a pretty big amount, and this will give us, for 5 adults, this will be lunch, dinner and lunch. So, or hopefully lunch, I don't know. Some have some big eaters in the family. So I'm going to put this on low and cook it for about 6 to 8 hours. Depending on your crock pot, you can do it on high or low. If you're going to do it on high, probably maybe 4 to 6 hours. Low, 6 to 8 hours, maybe a little bit longer. It all depends on your crock pot. Some crock pots or slow cookers cook hotter than others, so it really depends. And if you had already previously cut up the chicken, that would obviously cook faster. So you know your crock pot best. Do it according to your time. So that is it. I will put it in, and then we'll check back when it's all done. Actually, before it's done, because there's one little thing I'd have to do to the chicken. All right. See you in a little bit. Okay, I'm back again, and the chicken kale leek soup is complete. I sprinkled a little cheese on there. What I ended up having to do is, I think I put it in around, I put it on low around 10 o'clock in the morning, and it is now about 3:45, almost 4 o'clock. So I don't know how many hours that is. I'd have to count up, but it was completely done. The chicken was done, so I took the chicken out, and I either shredded. You can either shred it or cut it. I didn't want it completely shredded. I wanted it sort of in chunks, so that's what I did. And then I put the rest back in, and we're going to be eating it later, but I wanted to show it in better lighting now. So this is it, and I'm looking forward to having it for tonight with some bread. So that will be our dinner, and thank you very much for tuning in, for watching, and thank you to Centsible Living with Money Mom for the October, or I should say Crocktober crockpot recipe collab that she had done. And if you like the recipe, give it a thumbs up. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. All right, bye.